social media contests. The first is to type or put out there, what was your takeaway? And you could even take a picture of yourself in front of your laptop, take a screenshot, take a picture of the presenter, and then post that on social media, either on Twitter or on Instagram. Don't forget to tag us, as well as using that hashtag #ReadySetMimioSTEM. Getting into our next session, we have, let me go ahead and turn off my music here. All right, our next two sessions, we got Christian and Haley.
Excellent. All right, let's get started. Is that all right?
The floor is yours.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for showing up, everyone. I hope this is going to be helpful. Maybe by show of, I don't know if you can do emojis or reactions, how many have used Tinkercad classrooms? And if not, this is the place to be, because I'm going to step through it all. Let's see if I can just, yeah, I'm just getting my bearings here. It looks like some people have. I'm Christian Pramuk. I'm a product manager on Tinkercad, working at Autodesk. I've been working on Tinkercad since 2016, and so I've been primarily working on the platforms and the editors, the three editors, the 3D editor, circuits editor, code blocks, and I've built this Tinkercad classrooms with the developers, with my team. So I have a lot of answers if you guys have questions, so I'm the right guy. Now, if I need to stop and answer a question, I can do that. I hope I'm going to cover everything, but I'll definitely keep my eye on that chat. The agenda today is to just take a quick overview, create a Tinkercad class, look at what it likes for students to join that class, how can the teacher manage the class, and what is this thing we call safe mode. Safe mode on by default for all classes, can turn it off. We'll look at what that does. Class activities, a relatively new addition to Tinkercad classrooms, where teachers can set up like a template, an activity that their students will see that they can copy and tinker and do it. And so you'll see sort of like a gallery of all the students' work coming in. You can also put the Tinkercad tutorials from the Learning Center into those activities. So ways you can set up things your students are supposed to do. And then we'll finally end with what happens at the end of your class. You know, you're responsible as a teacher for the student data, and you know, how do you make sure you're taking care of all those details? So really, Tinkercad classrooms, we built this because we saw so many like workflows that were, you know, full of like friction, and a lot of class time was wasted. So we wanted to really just say, hey teachers, here's a feature that you can get your student onboarded to Tinkercad in under a minute. And I think we hit that sometimes not, but we do. It's if you do what I show you here today, we could get it under a minute. Once a student joins, anybody can join your class. So it can be an adult with an account, it can be a child account, it can be like a special seat, and I'm going to show you how to do all that stuff. By default, everyone who joins your class will be put into safe mode. And once they're in your class, they'll see in their dashboard a way to see their class and what activities you've set up for them. And as a teacher, you can go in and you have full access to open any student's dashboard, open up their work, review it, edit it, that kind of thing, delete it, you know, whatever you need to do. And so that's really, you can sort of keep an eye on moderating what your students are designing and what they're doing. So let's just create a class. So I'm going to be zipping around here. Hopefully it's not too dizzying, but yeah, here we go. So look at this. I'm just going to take this from square one. I'm a teacher who set up a Tinkercad account, and I don't know how to start creating, you know, I don't know how to start with Tinkercad classrooms. Well, if I go to my classes here, it says join a class. I don't want to join a class. I want to create a class. I'm a teacher. So how do we do that? This is my designs tab. I can't do it in here. It's going to be in here. But before I do that, if you haven't done this, you have to officially set your role in Tinkercad as a teacher. So I'll go up here to my avatar and click profile. And then how will you use Tinkercad? You'll say teacher. And there's some literature to look out for here. You're basically onboarding students in lieu of parents, and so you need to get the parent permission ahead of time. But basically, this allows you to say, yes, I've gotten the parents' permission, and please look at this. There's a lot more verbiage in here, but this lets you invite students to the class and manage their designs. So let's go. All right, now that I've done that, I'll revisit. I'll click my let me save this. Save there. I'll go back to my dashboard, and now you'll see my classes tab looks a lot different. I have teaching, archived, co-teaching, and enrolled. All right. So now I can create a new class. So this is creating the class. I'll call this STEM class. Okay, I can call it whatever I want. This is a bit optional. I can put this in here. Let's just say 6th grade, and we'll just call it art. Create class. Okay, there's my first class. So that's how you create your first class. You first need to set your teacher role to be able to get that feature, and then you can create the class. Now, every class you create, you can click into it, and you can see I don't have any students in here yet. One thing to note is every class comes with a class code, okay? So if I click this blue button, this is a class code. This is what the students can use to enter your class. I also am going to point out the link, which I've found to be very useful and handy for those students that have, like, maybe you're using Google Classroom, you can put a link there instead of just the code, which they'll eventually have to manually input. So I recommend the link, but the code is good. They're both good options. They both get the student added to the class. So you might copy this and share it with the students that you want to join. Now, before I get into that, let's just take a look at the types of students we can create. I'm going to show you the very simple method, which is called class seats. So what I can do is I can click add students, and it says, what's the student's name? You can put whatever you want. It doesn't have to be a real name. That's kind of the beauty of using classrooms and this seats method, is that we don't ask for any personally identifiable information. It's just, it can be whatever you want. So I'll also say student 1. And the nickname you see is populated automatically. And I'll click save changes. Then I'll go back to the class. You can see this student has been added. This is a seat. So they're going to log in with that class link or code. And then this is what the nickname that they're going to enter, student 1. Okay. So put a pin in that. And I'm going to show you the student's side of that. Okay. So that's basically the seat option. So you can see is also this type is seat. Later, I'm going to show you the different types of accounts that we can have in here. The other option that you'll see are child accounts and regular adult accounts. So those are the 3 types you'll see: child accounts, adult accounts, and seats. Seats are very easy for the teacher to set up. So let's take a look back. So that I created a class. Let's take a look at those student types, okay? So I mentioned accounts. There's 2 types of accounts: adult accounts, which is in the US, it's 13 and older. And when you sign up for Tinkercad, if you're under 13, you get a child account. And so you'll need to join either a class or have your parent approve you to use Tinkercad. So one of the benefits of using an account is that an account can be in multiple classes. So if you have multiple classes for that student, or multiple teachers want that same student account in their class, the account is the way to go. And that I'm talking about sign in with Google. That's an option for an account, or just signing in with Autodesk credentials, or some of the other social options. So that's what I mean by account, is you're using an email to get in. Okay. It is nice when the class ends, you still keep your account, you keep all that data, and you remain moderated by the teacher. The seat, what we just created there, student 1, can only exist in the class that I created. So it's kind of like a disposable account, if you will. It's very handy though, because it's just like, you need to get in, teacher, you have the power, create that nickname, and then you just give them the link and the nickname, and they're in. So it's a little more disposable, but also, and you can kind of see how you might weigh one out, the accounts out over the seats. Accounts are a little more longer term solution. So one thing to note with those seats is that if you delete the class that you created there, that I just created, I showed you that. If I delete that class, that seat gets deleted. So all of the data associated with that seat gets deleted, and it's a pretty hard delete. There's no going back. So be careful with that. It's like a GDPR. It goes through our GDPR delete, which is something we did for the EU. But basically, you're not going to see that data again. So you got to be careful about seats and deleting classes, because you could delete student stuff. With the accounts, if you delete the class, that student's account still remains there, and you still remain their moderator. They'll just go to an unlisted section in your classrooms. All right. Let me see if there's any questions. I'm just going to do a quick, no questions. Create seats. I did this. So this was, I showed you this screen, which is, the class code. And what I want to do is basically join that class now from that seat that I created. So let's do that before I jump into class management. So here's the teachers. I'm going to swipe again, and I have an incognito. So here I'm logged out. There's nothing going on here. I'm not logged in. I'm going to log in, but first I need that code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just copy the link. Okay, so I can click this little line here, or I can come into share class link, copy link. This might be something you paste in Google Classroom or your LMS for your students to join. And so here, as a, now I'm student one. First time I opened Tinkercad.com. I'm going to go to login. I'm going to say students with class code. Actually, I have the link, so all I have to do is really paste the link. But let's do the code. I don't remember it. So IP9, I8D. Let's do that. I8D. And this code will be the same for all your students. QGV. So all the students will have the same code, but a different nickname so they can get to their particular dashboard. Let's go to my class. Let me refresh here. And you know what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just copy the link, because I may be trying to do something very complicated. Let me just paste the link here. There we go. So there's the STEM class, and I'm going to join with the nickname. So you can see how it's easier to just follow the link. And I am student one. That's me. Great. And that was, that wasn't under a minute, but I'm playing multiple roles here. Okay, so now that I'm in, I can do these tutorials, right? I can come in and create a 3D design, a circuit, or a code block. If I look in my classes tab as a student one, I can see I'm in STEM class. I jump in there. I don't have any activities yet, so it's pretty empty, but I'm in and I can do stuff. Cool. Let me go back to the teacher role here, and I'll just show you. I showed you how to create the student. If you have a list of students, you can paste them in here. So if you go to add students, you can just paste a list of names here, and then it'll add them all at once, and they'll all show up as individual seats here. Okay. Any questions so far? I'm looking at chat. Is that the right place to look for questions? Am I doing all right?
Yes, I don't see any questions so far.
Oh, good. Okay. So what's next? Let's look at some other things. So I showed you how to find this. Let's look at some class management stuff. So as a teacher, you can manage your class. You can manage safe mode for your students, add students to a class, remove them, delete students. You can have a co-teacher for your class if you need help. And the co-teacher is a different link that you'll generate, and I'll show you where to get that. And that the co-teachers really just play the role of design access. So you need help opening, editing, downloading, 3D printing. You just need another set of hands that can help get into the student's dashboard and and look at the data. You can edit the data. The co-teachers are not for administering the class and adding students and that kind of stuff. So, or creating the activities. So there's a differentiator there, but it's nice to have a co-teacher in there to help out. Of course, you can change some of the class properties, archive it, and delete it. So let's take a look. This is your basic view as a teacher. I'm going to go ahead and so this will be a familiar view. If you just log into Tinkercad, you'll see this view. You default to your classes tab on the left, and you have your tabs up at the top. And I'm going to go a little bit more into detail here. But this is what it might look like if you have several students. One thing to note here is that in this class view, you have your different types. So I have an adult account, and this one's signed in with Google. I just denoted that. But you can see what you can do with the adult account. You can't edit their login info because it's an adult, and they can do that themselves. They have an email and they can reset their password. They are in safe mode by default. So I'm going to tell you what safe mode is in a second. This seat here, for example, now is the same thing I created earlier, that you can change the nickname. So if you want to make it a little more cryptic, or you find students are jumping on other students' accounts and interfering, you can make them a little more hard to guess, that kind of thing. For child accounts, you can change their password as long as they're a child account. Once they do age out to 13 years old, they'll be asked for an email, or they can manage that themselves. Okay. So those are the three types you'll see. The seats are very, as you know, are very convenient. Safe mode. So what is safe mode? Anyone who joins your class is in safe mode. And I see I have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to keep moving. I want to have some time for questions. This reduces distractions in the classroom. So the gallery that the students can find in their account is limited to the staff favorites. So there's not going to be some searching going on, finding maybe something that our moderators didn't find or hide. It's just the staff favorites that are really good designs that our team thinks should be in front of everyone. The other thing that safe mode does is that it restricts the students from making their design public. So they cannot go, every design is private by default. They can't go and switch it to make it public. So it will be indexed in the gallery. So they're not like, they wouldn't be able to put their personal information in it and make it public, for example, right? So that's what safe mode does. Those are the big ones. And you can see, limits the profile editing as well. Okay, so I'll show you how to turn that on and off. So let's go over to my class over here. I think this is it. Yes, classes. And I'll just look at this one. So here's that same class. You can sort these by name, types, counts, seats, activity. So, this student too, I can come in here and I can turn safe mode off for the whole class like this, right at the top where the classes is. And then I can turn it on like this for everybody. This is a seat that hasn't joined yet. So it's just sort of grayed out. When it joins, it'll be in safe mode. But also what you might do is, I have an adult in this class. Maybe I'll turn off safe mode for them. Okay. Some other things you can do here are, multi-select some of these accounts and then do an action to add it to a class or remove from class or delete students. Yeah, you want to be careful with this one, of course. Removing from the class will just put that student into, I'll show you where it would go. Like if you get out of this class, you'll have unassigned students down here that, I have a bunch of unassigned students in this, in various states. Okay. Why do you have any examples of why a teacher would not want to use safe mode? I think for some teachers like exploration, and there's a lot of good stuff in the gallery. For example, I'm not in safe mode, and I'll come in here and I may want to turn off staff picks. So this is what somebody not in safe mode might see. They can see, some things coming in, and I think there is some value in searching things out. You can come in and search, for things and find, let's see. You can find lots of interesting ideas that people put out there. So that's one. That was a question. Why do you have any examples why a teacher would not want to use safe mode? But I will tell you that probably 95% of the students that join Tinkercad classrooms are in safe mode because it is on by default and teachers just prefer it that way, I think. But you can turn that off. Okay, so other things I want to show you because I'm running out of time. I want to show you, let's go back into my class. I want to show you activities. So activities are the way that you can put something in front of your student that you want them to work on. Okay, so I'll just create a new activity right here. Okay, let's call this STEM activity. Pretty generic, okay? I don't think I need the description right now. And here it is. Now it's empty. So if I go in here, there's nothing in here. But I can create a new design that will be, shared with the students. It would just be blank. Or I can go back to my dashboard and add something. So if I go back, just click the Tinkercad logo, go to my designs. Maybe I want this, I'm working on a sim lab thing here, or this chain. I can add this to an activity. Add to class activity. So I just clicked the gear, add to class activity. And let's see, I'll find that class and I'll find the activity and I add it. So now I'll go back to the Tinkercad class 2023, go into my activities, and in this one, STEM activity, it's here. So when your students go log in for the first time, they'll see this and they'll be able to copy and tinker. It won't say tinker this, it'll say copy and tinker. And then student work will show up here as in the gallery when they're working on it. And you can jump into those designs as they're working on them. You can check it out whenever you want. So that's activities. Another thing you can add to an activity is these tutorials that we have in our Learning Center. So if you go to Learning Center, you can click this and say add to activity. And yeah, so.
Just want to chime in here and give you a 5-minute warning.
5-minute warning. Okay. How are we doing? So that's activities. If you guys have any more questions on activities, you can also, if we don't get through everything here today, I did record a similar video that I shared at ISTE. So just to show you, here's that tutorial in here so students will see it when they go in. All right, let me just jump back to a couple of things in here. I did want to point out this designs tab shows you everything all the students are doing listed by the most recent. So you can sort by designs, circuits, code blocks, tutorials, and it'll just show the latest thing that's here. The notifications will tell you what your students are doing. If they're not in safe mode, they can like other stuff, heart it, react to it. You can also see what they've created. You could say, well, that's not quite right, and I'm going to delete it. Ban is basically delete. Or you can go in and edit that design. Here's the co-teachers tab where you can invite other teachers to co-teach your class. Again, this is just for design access. It's not for helping you administer the class. So you can get the invite link by clicking this. You can invalidate that link if you find that link has gone wild and some other people are joining you were not expecting. You can reset that. You can also just remove co-teacher if you see someone in there that's not supposed to be in there. So that's Tinkercad classrooms in a nutshell. I will say deleting, I will just remind you that when you want to delete classes, there is an archive option. So if you archive it, the class is still active. Everything still works perfectly fine. It's just, for you, it's out of your way. So you'll find it over here. So when you log into Tinkercad, you're by default looking in this tab, and it may get long over the years. So you can put stuff into archived. So the key point is students can still get in. The seats are still there. Everybody still has access. If you delete it, if you delete the class, that deletes all of that class data, the seats and the class data. The accounts that joined your class are will still be moderated by you, and you'll find those in your unassigned students. So any students in a deleted class go down to here. That's why I have so many if I deleted a class. All right, I think am I at time? No, I have a little bit more time.
Just a couple minutes, yeah, 2 minutes.
Let's see, are there any questions that I don't want to skip out on questions here. Let's see.
I had a quick question just
Yeah.
to clarify. Earlier you were mentioning that students could be added to multiple classes with their
Yeah.
same profile. Could it be something, obviously in school, it's nice to have that when you have departmentalization or you have different groups that they're a part of. Could you also have, like, if you're at home and you're interested in doing Tinkercad at home, have your kid as a student in your class, but then they could also join their school class as well?
Yeah, if they're an account, like, so they'll have to sign in with like either their Gmail with an email.
Mm-hmm.
If they're a
Okay.
seat, they can only be in your one class. But if they
Okay.
if they sign in with, say they sign in with Google, like my son does at school, he can join my class too. And he can
Okay.
join the teacher's class. Yeah. So it's workable like that. And you can see how you can use this sort of functionality in a makerspace. You kind of see how it works, where there's the teacher who owns the class, and students join. Anyone can join, and it's pretty versatile that way. Any other questions?
I think there's a couple questions in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Cost of Classroom Tinkercad, free, and no plans to charge for anyone there. Thank Autodesk. Autodesk is providing this for free for everyone. Do you have a video tutorial of how to use basic features of Tinkercad? Yeah, we have lots of. Actually, I'll share a link. I think I got cut off.
Oh, sorry about that, Christian. You can definitely put a link if you need to for any of your folks in this chat room, and it'll just pop up for everybody.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us back in our main room. If you'd like to let us know in the chat what was something that stood out, what got you excited, what was something that just that takeaway, that aha moment, let us know. Continue to share. And we are getting the social media challenge is on its way. We have some folks here that have already shared on Instagram. Got a great snapshot of me right there mid-sentence, so love that post. We got Catherine loving the idea of designing coral reefs. Amanda loving simple but awesome 3D projects. Mindy coming up with some ideas with using printers for core classes. Love it, love it, love it. Keep these ideas going in the chat.